Cast your mind back a few months and you'll remember that the internet was awash with rumors that North Korean dictator Kim Jong-Un had finally died. It took weeks for any official confirmation that he was alive to surface, and Kim Jong-un's 3-week absence was rife with reports that his younger sister, Kim Yo-Jong, might take his place as North Korea's supreme leader. Kim Jong-un has been a famously brutal ruler in a country with a history of eccentric dictators. So the real question is whether his sister would change things for the better, continue business as usual, or begin her own horrific reign that make her brother and father look like Gandhi in comparison. You might be surprised by the answer. Back in April, Yo-Jong was the talk of the international stage as all eyes moved to North Korea and its possible shift in power. She'd also been spotted at political summits and even sitting next to U.S. Vice President Mike Pence at the South Korean Olympics. The Hermit Kingdom is famously reserved with the information it releases to outsiders, with goofy tidbits like Kim Jong-il's allegedly perfect bowling game and Kim Jong-un's alleged ability to drive a car at age 3 being largely unintentional exports. Nobody really knew what to think of the mysterious Kim Yo-Jong. Some, bizarrely, congratulated her for the possibility of breaking the glass ceiling of North Korea's supreme leadership. Twitter was flooded with jokes and memes complimenting Yo-Jong's physical appearance or imagining potential interactions between her and U.S. President Donald Trump. Others were less optimistic and worried that the shards of Yo-Jong's glass ceiling would rain down on North Korean people below, to deadly results. There's been long-running speculation among foreign policy experts that Kim Yo-Jong is the brains of the Kim Jong-un dictatorship. But like any true Machiavellian manipulator, she prefers to remain in the shadows, while her boisterous brother acts as the face of the regime. Seeing as she's shrouded in secrecy and is unlikely to give any interviews or release a tell-all memoir anytime soon, the best indication we have for Yo-Jong's character as a potential ruler is her time serving her brother's brutal regime. Kim Jong-un has been in power in North Korea for 9 years, assuming the role of the country's supreme leader following the death of his father, Kim Jong-il. Under his rule as dictator, citizens of the DPRK have a number of their rights severely restricted. For example, the media and access to the internet are controlled and limited by Kim's regime. Anyone found to be openly critical of the regime is arrested and can expect a long stay in one of the country's many forced labor camps, reserved not only for political prisoners but their families too. Unless you toe the party line in all things, you can kiss your freedom and probably your life goodbye. Information coming out of North Korea, even details regarding the personal lives of Kim Jong-un's family, are often altered and falsified. So it's hard to sum up everything we know about Kim Yo-Jong with 100% accuracy. What we do know, however, is that she was born in either 1987 or 89, depending on the report. She's the youngest of Kim Jong-il's children, lived a relatively sheltered childhood, and has a degree in computer science from Kim Il-sung University. Though prior to this, she was schooled in Switzerland with her brother. According to a number of reports, she maintains a very close relationship with Jong-un. Maybe they even plot ways to murder and torture their citizens together. While her father held the title of Supreme Leader, Kim Yo-Jong served as one of a group of his advisors from 2009, earning nicknames like the Ivanka Trump of North Korea. But Kim Yo-Jong really only had her presence noticed after she participated in the Third Conference of the Workers' Party of Korea, or WPK, in 2010, and then attended her father's funeral in the following year, alongside her brother. So what position does Kim Yo-Jong currently hold within the WPK? Well, since 2014, she's been the first deputy director of the party's propaganda and agitation department. As the name suggests, this is the department in charge of distributing propaganda to the people in North Korea. Remember earlier when we mentioned that Kim Jong-un's regime controls the country's media? Well, that's thanks in part to the work the propaganda and agitation department does under the leadership of his sister, who currently runs the PAD as the de facto leader. But how exactly do they control the media? Well, say you were a North Korean print journalist, writing for a national newspaper. Every newspaper printed in North Korea goes through 3 rounds of censorship. First, the paper's editor will have to go through and remove anything that could potentially be read as speaking out against the WPK or Kim Jong-un. And then the PAD carries out 2 additional checks for any anti-WPK material. And you'd better hope they don't find anything in there that could land you and your family in a labor camp, as well as filtering out any information that the WPK doesn't want the North Korean public to know. The PAD is also in charge of translating works from other countries and keeping these secret and censored from the public. They also create all the guidelines for the propaganda distributed in North Korea, so you can have comfort of knowing that any posters, artwork, or music praising the WPK has been approved by Kim Yo-Jong herself. Her high-ranking role in the propaganda and agitation department isn't the only feather in Kim Yo-Jong's cap, however. In October of 2017, Kim Yo-Jong became the second woman ever to be appointed to the Politburo. What's the Politburo? Its full title is the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, and it is the highest authority in decision-making in the entirety of North Korea, as well as a real mouthful to say out loud. Comprising important state and military leaders, the Politburo is in charge of overseeing the day-to-day running of the WPK. It's Kim Jong-un's inner sanctum, his Jedi Council, his most trusted politicians and generals elected by the Central Committee. They're not only the highest authority within the WPK, but also have absolute ruling power over the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and their decisions become automatically enforced by law. In 2017, it was speculated that Yo-Jong's appointment to the Politburo was an indication that her brother wanted her to replace the first woman to previously hold the position within the bureau, that being their aunt, Kim Kyung-hwa. While their aunt and Kim Yo-Jong were rumored to have a good relationship, it's been hinted that Kim Kyung-hwa wasn't playing an active role in the WPK's regime. And this is likely a reason why Kim Jong-un might have wanted his sister to replace her. Yo-Jong, after all, had made a reputation for herself as someone he could trust to act with the regime's best interests in mind, given her role with the propaganda and agitation department. However, like many official appointments within North Korea, Kim's involvement in the Politburo was not exempt from a state of perpetual fluctuation within the ranks of the WPK. In April of 2019, Kim Yo-Jong was removed from the Politburo only to be reinstalled a year later in April 2020, around the same time that rumors of Kim Jong-un's death began circulating online. From this, it's easy to infer that Yo-Jong knows her way around the art of political maneuvering and is actively pursuing power in the event of her brother's untimely death. In spite of this, there appears to be a real bond of trust between Yo-Jong and her brother, making it seem like the shrewd and manipulative Cersei Lannister to his violent and unpredictable Joffrey. Given the numerous high-profile and high-power positions Kim Jong-un has bestowed upon her, it's a safe assumption that he trusts her and her dedication to the regime of the Workers' Party of Korea. That certainly ranks her higher in Kim Jong-un's treatment than their other siblings, especially their eldest brother Kim Jong-nam. After being prevented from becoming his father's successor in favor of Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-nam was then assassinated in Malaysia in 2017. He had been openly critical of his brother's regime, and that earned him an assassination by his own brother. But you never believe how it played out. While Kim Jong-nam was waiting to catch a flight in Kuala Lumpur International Airport, two women approached him claiming to be filming a prank TV show. They sprayed him in the face with a deadly nerve agent, and in minutes, Nam was dead. It was never entirely clear if the women were groomed assassins or unwitting pawns who had no idea what they were actually doing. Given Kim Jong-un's penchant for having his siblings assassinated, Kim Yo-Jong has done well to not only serve her brother's regime, but also garner enough of his trust to be granted multiple positions of power within the WPK, allowing her to work her way up the party's ranks despite North Korea having an extremely masculine and chauvinist culture. It's clear that she doesn't share the anti-regime sentiments of her brother Kim Jong-nam, and that seems to have served her well and put her in the supreme leader's favor, with her growing influence within the North Korean government leading many to believe that she'll one day succeed him. Of course, many definitely doesn't mean everyone. A North Korea specialist named Leonid Petrov claimed that Kim Yo-Jong couldn't possibly replace her brother as the country's primary decision-maker. He told The Guardian that North Korea is a Confucian country where seniority and masculinity are respected. She is Kim's most trusted ally, but no more than that. On the other side of the argument, there are those who believe Kim Yo-Jong is certain to succeed her brother to the position of supreme leader. Washington Post journalist Anna Fifield claimed that Kim Yo-Jong is the only Kim family member who could even possibly take over the reins from Kim Jong-un. In a tweet made around the time rumors of the supreme leader's death were widespread. There is some merit to this, as the only other sibling among Kim Jong-il's infamous progeny is Kim Jong-chul, who, according to most reports, has no interest on ruling the country and prefers to instead devote his time to learning guitar and obsessing over Eric Clapton. Yeah, you thought your family was weird. Given how quickly Kim Yo-Jong has climbed the WPK's ranks, taking on more responsibility and control within the party, spreading her influence and her public profile in recent years, it seems entirely plausible that she could succeed her brother in the event of his death. How she would rule over North Korea is something on which we could only speculate. Currently, it's hard to imagine anything worse than life under the oppressive regime of Kim Jong-Un and the WPK. And seeing as she's proved herself a dedicated enough member of the party to join the Politburo, it seems highly likely that Kim Yo-Jong would at least continue to rule North Korea in her brother's image. For more information on North Korea, be sure to check out some of our other videos, like what is it really like living in North Korea, and a day in the life of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-Un. Thanks for watching.